And good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Langer at the Mic, Dallas Cowboys versus Baltimore Ravens postgame show. The Cowboys lose 34-17 to the Ravens in Baltimore. And of course, as you can see, I'm wearing my number 88 for Dez Bryant. The fact that he didn't get to play in this one was just a very, very odd situation at the beginning of the game. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but Dez, again, really wish you could have seen Dez play in this one. But again, we're live on YouTube, Langer at the Mic, my YouTube channel, and on Twitter at Mike Langer. If you're following on Twitter in the stream or broadcast craps out, just follow the show on YouTube with the link that I just tweeted out. So thank you so much for joining in. And let's break this down. So right off the top, I want to announce that the announcer jinx is a thing in sports. I don't care what anyone says. When someone like Justin Tucker has a streak of 70 made field goals within 40 yards in a row, and that's all that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are talking about for a good 30 seconds, and then the Ravens take a false start penalty and they back them up 5 yards, there's no direct relation, but just whether it's fate or some weird thing going on in the universe, I don't know what it is, but the announcer jinx is a thing, happens time and time and time again. Back even when Gordon Miller of TSN said, oh, announcer jinxes aren't a thing, Price is going to get a shutout, and then Price gave up a goal. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, in this video, again, Cowboys fall to 3-9. I think after that Washington game, we, as like Cowboys Nation, we all kind of had to accept the fact that this just was not going to be the year for the Cowboys, just plain and simple. That was the game where, coming off that Minnesota win, Dallas had to win. Dallas just had to, at the very least, perform well at home on Thanksgiving to the Washington football team, and they didn't. But then at least the Washington football team just beat the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers the other night. So I guess the Cowboys can at least say that they got blown out by a team that beat an undefeated team. So, but anyway, that's all that 2020 is about for the Cowboys, moral victories. But again, in this particular loss, we're going to talk about the positives from the game, from this Tuesday night football game tonight against the Ravens in Baltimore. And what I love about this game, honestly, the offense. The offense in general was good. They moved the ball pretty well. Dalton was decent. He finished 31 for 48 with 2 touchdowns and an INT and an interception. His yards per attempt doesn't look really good, and I guess you could also say had a lot of garbage time yards and plays at the end there. But to me, like, Dalton is the best, proving that he is the best backup quarterback the Cowboys have had since maybe John Kitna in 2010, back when Tony Romo got hurt. I mean, if you look at Brandon Weeden, you look at Stephen McGee, you look at Mark Sanchez, you look at Matt Castle, you look at Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. I mean, Andy Dalton, honestly, I don't know if you could really ask more out of Andy Dalton from this year. And I find that the last couple of times that he's been intercepted, they've just been bad luck. Like a tip ball in the air intercepted by Patrick Queen. Finding a linebacker for the Ravens, who was a first-round pick, of course, found himself in the right place at the right time to catch that tip ball. But then also you look in that Vikings game where Dalton got intercepted by, I think it was Eric Kendricks, the Vikings linebacker, like friggin' linebacker, making a diving catch. How often do you see that? So to me, again, Dalton has, at least I would say, the Arizona and the first Washington game were just not good. But also, again, he had really no time to throw the ball. But ever since that Minnesota game, Dalton has been above average, has been good for a backup quarterback. And with that being said, that's another big thing, the offensive line. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I also do want to talk about Ezekiel Elliott, who I think had one of his better games. He ran with a good purpose. He ran hard tonight. He definitely ran hard. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry, finished with 77 yards on 18 attempts. But as I keep saying, and as we all know, Ezekiel Elliott just cannot break the big run. He just can't do it. He had a chance. He had a 14-yard run. I think it was in the second or third quarter. Forget exactly when it was, but he was in the open field and he was off. But he was in the open field and he had a chance to really break it off. But he just can't do it, Ezekiel Elliott. And again, that's with the production that he's producing, with what he's producing so far this year. Like, it's okay if you're a third-round pick on a rookie contract, but if you're a fourth overall pick having held out for $90 million, you got to give us more, Zeke. You still got to give us more. But at least he outran Tony Pollard in this one. Tony Pollard was 8 carries. I think it was 28 yards. Or sorry, it was he averaged 2.8 yards per carry on 8 carries. So Tony Pollard wasn't as effective in this game, but still, at least it was nice to see a good, almost 2-to-1 split in carries between Zeke and Tony Pollard. And then the other good thing, the receivers were decent. Michael Gallup, played really well. He did a great job fighting through that pass interference play on that touchdown reception in the second quarter. He finished with 7 receptions, 86 yards, 1 touchdown. And Amari Cooper was decent as well. He had 5 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown, that really nice toe-tapping touchdown on 4th down when it was still, the Cowboys still had an okay chance to be in the game. But he did have a very costly false start penalty, which is, I believe, what backed the Cowboys up into 3rd and 7, or 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 8. And then on the next couple of plays, I think that's what led to a Greg Zuerlein missed field goal, 1 of 3, which again, we'll get to as well. And CeeDee Lamb was okay, 6 receptions, 46 yards. But to me, I feel like CeeDee Lamb in a year or 2 from now, he'll be able to come down with that Hail Mary ball. This guy, of course, in his prime, would have come down with it. The guy in Arizona, DeAndre Hopkins, we saw that he'd come down with it. And I think CeeDee Lamb is just maybe another year or 2 away before he routinely comes down with that Hail Mary ball. But that missed PI call on it was Deshaun Elliott of the Ravens. Like, again, I'm not going to complain too much about that, because with me, calls always cancel themselves out. There was a couple of false starts on the Cowboys on the Cowboys offensive line that didn't get called as well. And so it all evens out at the end of the day in terms of officiating. And even Dalton Schultz, again, talking about receivers and tight ends, even Dalton Schultz had an okay game, 4 receptions, 44 yards. And again, the best thing on offense, I would say, is this offensive line, despite how beat up they were, they protected Andy Dalton pretty well. They did a good job. They held the Ravens without a sack until the first play in the 4th quarter, which of course led to the third missed Greg Zuerlein field goal. But to me, and I think honestly, Terrence Steele played his best game as a Dallas Cowboy in this one. Terrence Steele has been by far the weakest link on this Cowboys offensive line, and I think he played his best game as a Dallas Cowboy tonight. There was one play, I think, I forgot who he was rushing up against. It might have been, it wasn't Calais Campbell. I think it was Pernell McPhee or Yannick Ngakoue, one of the Ravens edge rushers, and he actually knocked him down to the ground. Like, how often have we seen that from Terrence Steele this year? He's usually the one getting his butt knocked down, but it was nice to see him play well, Terrence Steele, and the entire Cowboys offensive line. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. And yeah, just the offense played well overall, and just bad penalties, like just untimely penalties, and the 1 sack and the turnover all came at terrible times, because that turnover led to the defense, giving up the 1 play touchdown on the very next play, or the 1 play touchdown drive on the very next play. And then also the missed field goals, which honestly I blame the untimely false start penalties and the sacks for that, because when your kicker is struggling and you're going to start backing him up and expecting him to kick 50, 45 plus yard field goals, like, again, they get paid to make those kicks, but Greg Zuerlein, like, again, just don't hold the ball for 8 seconds on 3rd down. Don't take a false start penalty. Like, just at least give your kicker a better chance. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But keep in mind, if there was not a single missed kick in this game between Justin Tucker and Greg Zuerlein, this game would have been 30-26 late in the 4th quarter. Just keep that in mind. But now let's get to the bad and the ugly. That was the good. Let's get to the bad and the ugly now. Obviously, the defense, god-awful. God-awful on defense. We all know that. I guess the only good things is that they held Lamar Jackson to only 107 yards passing, and Darian Thompson got an interception, but that was a bad Lamar Jackson throw. They held the Ravens to 5 for 11 on 3rd down, so I guess that's okay. But they gave up 161 yards rushing in the first half alone, 294 yards rushing in total, over 400 yards of total offense, and Gus Edwards went 101 yards, only 7 carries. Man, 7 carries for only 7 carries for 101 yards for Gus Edwards. Lamar Jackson went 13 for 94, and J.K. Dobbins went 11 for 71. Baltimore only punted once, but so did Dallas. Dallas actually only punted once in this game as well. I guess that has to do with all the missed field goals. But right now, the Cowboys are just really, really bad at safety. Xavier Woods sucked tonight. I feel like that PI call that got called on him, where Lamar Jackson put it like a mile over the Ravens. I forget who it was on the Ravens, who the target was there, but like Lamar floated a pass a mile over his head, and Xavier Woods still got called for a PI penalty because he friggin' tackled him. Like, what are you doing? Why are you tackling him? And anyway, just Xavier Woods had probably one of his worst games as a Dallas Cowboy tonight. The Cowboys just run defense just is god awfully brutal, as we know. Just it's gap control, it's awareness, it's positioning. It's like Leighton Vander Esch. We usually see Jalen Smith get faked out like that, but Leighton Vander Esch just completely getting faked out by the motion or the pre-snap read option motion before Lamar just took it right up the middle for no one, for the easy touchdown. Like, yeah, and this defense is awful in goal situations and awful at quick changes of possessions. There aren't a lot of things that this defense does well, and they didn't get a sack tonight. So yeah, this defense, we'll get a little bit more on that later when we talk about more big picture stuff. But real quick, special teams also pretty much all bad except for that 67-yard return by Tony Pollard, which is why, every so often, if your offense is bad, maybe it isn't a bad thing to take it out of the end zone, or run it out occasionally. But when your offense is good, take the friggin' knee, start the drive to the 25-yard line. But yeah, 0 for 3 for Greg Zuerlein is awful. Don't get me wrong. But again, just consider the fact that you backed him up with a false start penalty, and you backed him up with by taking a sack on third down, by holding the ball for 8 seconds. Dalton, again, backup quarterback. I said Dalton played well, but that was one of the big mistakes that Dalton made, is just holding the ball for too long and taking a sack and forcing your kicker who's struggling on the night to kick a 50-something yard field goal. So yeah, just to me, just make that extra play or two on offense to make him kick a 30 or 40-yard field goal. And Greg Zuerlein's been okay with that. I'll be honest, I didn't do as much research in terms of his field goal percentage on the year, but look, I'm not willing to throw in the towel on Greg Zuerlein just yet. But look, here's an interesting exercise I did do and research I did do. So my question to you is, with a fully healthy offense, Dak, or let's say whoever they draft, if they draft a quarterback, again, that'll be a discussion for another day. I think that again, if you deem Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson or Trey Lance as perfect quarterback prospects, consider it. But if they're not perfect prospects, just pay friggin' Dak already. But anyway, so back to my point. Fully healthy offense, or even half healthy offense right now, an average defense that you're going to build through the draft and free agency in 2021. How close will that be to the 2014 Dallas Cowboys? The Cowboys team that went 12-4, obviously with DeMarco Murray being the rushing leader with that awesome offensive line in their prime, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Tyron Smith, Ron Leary, and Doug Free, et cetera, in their prime. But I want to compare the two defenses here. And if you look at who, by position, is this 2020 defense really that much worse than that 2014 Cowboys defense? So you tell me. 2014, the Cowboys defensive linemen were George Selvey, Nick Hayden, Tyrone Crawford, Jeremy Mincey, and DeMarcus Lawrence. In 2020, you have DeMarcus Lawrence, Neville Gallimore, Antoine Woods, Randy Gregory, and Aldon Smith. I would give the slight edge to this 2020 Dallas defensive line. If Gerald McCoy is healthy, Dontari Poe was awful, but if Tristan Hill is healthy, he was playing he wasn't great, but he was playing hard at the beginning of the season. If you find just one good, really good defensive tackle that you could plug in there, this defensive line is better than the 2014 Dallas defensive line. Let's look at linebacker. 2014 Cowboys had not Sean Lee. Sean Lee was hurt, tore his ACL in training camp, but you had Bruce Carter, Rolando McClain, Anthony Hitchens, Justin Durant rotating in every so often. 2020, you have Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee. I think because of how well Rolando McClain was playing that year, and also Anthony Hitchens being solid that year, I would say push, but the potential, again, considering health, the potential is there for this 2020 linebacker group to be as good as that 2014 linebacker group. Maybe 2014 slight edge, but again, if you draft a linebacker or sign a linebacker in free agency, I think you give the edge to this 2020 linebacker group. Corner, Brandon Carr, Orlando Scandrick, Sterling Moore were the three in 2014. 2020, you'll have Cheeto, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Trayvon Diggs. Obviously, you have to consider the fact that they're going to lose, or that Cheeto, Anthony Brown, and Jordan Lewis are pending free agents. But if you have a good draft and a good free agency, you can make this cornerback group as good as 2014, potentially. I definitely just put in one or two good draft picks in there, and again, Scandrick was playing really well at the time. Carr was okay. Brandon Carr was okay in that year, but again, they weren't anything special at corner in 2014. So again, you can be as good, if not better, than you were in 2014 at corner. In 2014 at safety, I think it's pretty obvious that Barry Church, one of my favorite non-superstar Dallas Cowboys, and J.J. Wilcox are better than Donovan Wilson and Xavier Woods and Darian Thompson. But again, just plug in a safety from free agency or the draft, and who knows, maybe it'll be better. So the bottom line is coaching, of course. And as a front office, here's what I do. As a front office, I would have a position coach in that coaching, on the coaching staff, whether it's Jim Tom Sula or a linebacker coach, or whether they're going to hire someone in the offseason, have a position coach that you are ready to say, if all goes wrong, you are going to take over as defensive coordinator. And give Mike Nolan the benefit of the doubt of not having a full offseason to train or to get his defensive scheme established, and to have the players really understand his scheme, which they should at this point in week 14, but also get better players again to the draft, free agency, and all that. But if Mike Nolan, if this defense is as bad in the first 3 games of 2021, Mike Nolan gone. I give him 3 games tops, and if this defense is still awful, Mike Nolan is gone. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Team Tank is alive and well. Cowboys at 3-9. They hold their position at number 4, I believe, behind the Bengals, Jags, and Jets. And this is going to be a huge, huge game for the Cowboys to lose for Team Tank on Sunday against the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals with Brandon Allen at quarterback, I don't know. The Cowboys might actually win, but it'll be what it'll be. And yeah, if the Cowboys can manage to lose that game, they'll have a top 3 pick easily. But again, look, number 88, God bless Dez Bryant, man. Just Dez really deserved the chance to throw up the X in this one. It was just a really weird situation, because at first his test was inconclusive, but he was still allowed to warm up and be in the locker room with the Ravens, with his teammates and all that. But then all of a sudden, right before kickoff, he gets pulled. So that implies that if he was positive the whole time, then he could very well have spread the virus to his teammates and whatever, and coaching staff and all that. So it was just a really odd situation, kind of like Justin Turner coming on the field for the Dodgers at the end of the World Series. I think it was Game 7 in the World Series there, or Game 6, whatever it was. But yeah, just a really weird situation. And I really would have liked to have seen Dez Dez deserves good things in life. And it would have been nice to see Dez get that redemption touchdown against his former team. And in the same way, I hope Dak wins a Super Bowl MVP, and league MVP one year, whether it's with the Dallas Cowboys or not, just because he deserves it, because he's a really good quarterback, and he doesn't deserve all the hate from everyone saying, from Eagles fans to national media saying that Carson Wentz is better, and even though he's clearly not. But just again, Dak deserves to win, and Dak deserves good things in life, and so does Dez. So it would have been nice to have seen Dez, throw up the X against his former team. But yeah, that's it here on YouTube for our Langer at the Mic Dallas Cowboys postgame show. And stay tuned. We'll be bringing an NFL Week 14 preview with you before, I'd say by tomorrow. We're going to film it by tomorrow, and we'll do our picks as usual. I've been awful at my picks, but that's another story. But still, be sure to tune in. And thank you so much for watching this Langer at the Mic Cowboys postgame show edition. And we'll see you again next time.